This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And boy, today it seems like there are so many different packages out there to choose from. Disney puts out the free dining, they put out the gift card, you got your regular annual pass discounts, you've got, the group packages depending on the time of year you're going. I'm sure you can sit there and try to do all the math. Who wants to do that? I know I'm lazy. Nor do I have the time for that. So why not have the travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel take your information about when you're going, who's in your party, and where you want to stay, and then you know what? They'll do all that work for you. They'll come back and say, well, this package would get you this price, this package, this price. This is definitely your best option. So why not give them a try? Visit them online at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, September 9th, 2010, and this is episode 770 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hatchberg of StudiosCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Of course it's him. Send him to Earth.
Alien Encounter.
Right.
Ooh. I almost said Stitch, and then I said, no, the better attraction.
Yeah, the better one. Bring it back.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse Radio. Now, Mike, I can't help but notice that Fred Hazelton pulled a Mike Newell. He showed up for 2 episodes and then is conspicuously absent.
Matt, that was almost 5 years ago. Get over it.
I can't believe it's been 5 years.
That's the other thing. Where did this 5 years come from? My goodness. It was just yesterday that I met Scopa for the first time and Len for the first time. We had no idea who Annette was, and now here we are 5 years later.
Indeed. Also joining us on today's show is the fabulous Annette Owens, a manager of customer relations and group services for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Welcome back to the show, Annette.
Hey, guys. 5 years ago, you didn't know who I was. Now you're wishing it was 5 years ago.
I knew who you were.
Yeah, it'll be 5 years later this month. We started the show September 2005, and
Yeah.
yeah, geez, I mean, wow. One of our very good fans of the show, Jan, sent us a Facebook message, kind of mentioning it, and I wrote back and I said, there are people that go away for attempted murder and they're out of jail now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not for anything, but this show seems to be a life sentence.
It's Wednesday. We're answering your listener questions. We'll start with a question from Nora Martinez, a.k.a. Tinkyell.
What's a good word, Nora?
So I get that you want to do something special for guests booking with MEI and Mouse Fan Travel for reunion. Really, I get it. I think it's great that they have their own dessert party, but they also get a 24-hour head start for the special reunion events. That just ain't fair to us Disney Vacation Club owners who can't use a travel agent to book our stay, don't you think? Maybe you could have a special event just for DVC owners. That would be cool. So how about it? Love the show. Keep it quirky and irrelevant. Irrelevant? We're not relevant?
Oh, my goodness.
Not in 5 years.
Jeez, someone put us out of our misery. I think she probably meant irrelevant, but whatever.
In fairness, I'm a DVC owner.
Reverent.
I'm still
Reverent.
one of the reasons why I book with Mouse Fan Travel is to get those special events, and even that's coming from a DVC owner.
Yeah, I mean, I understand your plight, Nora, and I certainly understand where you're coming from. The only thing I would say is that a lot of people come down for different trips, and maybe Nora is blessed with 300 or 400 or something, a lot of DVC points. More power to you.
I'm blessed.
The best thing I can tell you, Nora, is if you're not going to splurge to pay cash for this trip, I would just say, it's okay, and that more than likely you'll have opportunities to still book these special events. You're just going to have to be a little quicker on the trigger, But that's true with anything. So hopefully you'll be able to make those in, Nora, and if not, we'll give you a big hug.
Well, and just so you know, the reason that a lot of this happens with Reunion is when we have a group block, it allows us to block the facilities to do the parties we're going to do in. So that helps us create the events. So those people that book in the package give us what we need.
Right,
as an agency, the leverage with Disney, so that we can pull these events off. So that's why we don't book DVC points for you. We can't. So and I do feel your pain, but there are events that there will be space for other people at.
Yeah, it's absolutely a Disney thing. It's not like
it's not like we're trying to shut you out.
Travel sitting there and be like, forget those guys.
Right.
Next email is from Carrie Jones and Newell. I'm sure you remember. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago we did an episode, and people would say, what would we do differently if we had an extra day? Remember that episode?
Yes, that was a good episode. I like that episode.
Yeah, and a lot of people wrote it. We asked, what would Scopa do? And Mike,
Yes.
none of us,
Mike wasn't here for that.
Oh no.
Mike, aren't here for this, Mike. And we kind of we really were trying to think of legit things, what you would do if you had a little more time in Walt Disney World on any given trip. And we thought, you know what, let's let the listeners suggest some. So without further ado, here's Carrie Jones's opinions on what Mike Scopa would do if he had a little more time in Walt Disney World.
What do you mean by a little bit more time?
Like if you had like a little more, if you were at the resort for whatever time, if you just had like an extra day or so, you know what I mean? Like more than you usually have. What would you do with your extra time at Walt Disney World? Something you haven't done before because you just don't feel like you have enough time. Anyway, here's some options here. He has no idea what's coming. Get himself a clipboard and a name tag, pass himself off an official Disney survey person, and ask parents, are your children missing school to be here? Of course, then pass that valuable statistical information on to Len for a brand new chapter of the unofficial guide. Option 2, sit on a bench and yell out multiplication fact quizzes to park-weary fourth graders, periodic table questions for the ones who look particularly bright. And 3, hop off Spaceship Earth at the caveman scene and give riders by a personal accounting of ancient times, including the meaning and origins of his Neanderthal name, Yo No Noam Quotum. I'm sorry, Mike, we had to do that. Those listeners are just so awful. We would never condone that sort of behavior.
You guys are just jealous because you don't know what those caveman dwelling writings on the caves are, and I can read them.
I think that we had a lot of great tweets. Thank you so much for all that. They were very hilarious. The best one was the guy who said that Mike would go back and finally get rid of that pesky mastodon. That was great. Made my day. Next email's from Jaco Dyer-Wolf on www.com. First, everyone knows that there's nothing more romantic than proposing at Universal when the shark jumps out of the water. This was covered in Mallrats. Second, I have to give you a yellow geek card for not knowing Urbana, Illinois, as where HAL became operational or born. Did you guys know in 2001 Space Odyssey that's where HAL is from?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, I didn't. Finally, I would like to suggest to the listener who has issues with busy and loud to take a look at the resources for adults with autistic children in the parks as a starting point of what to avoid. That was a great poem. We had a person who was, sensitive to loud noises and crowds, so that'd be a good place to start. Thank you, John. Next email is from Jennifer from San Diego. So we're planning to head to the world soon. For the first time, and we're planning to spend a day outside Disney World to visit Harry Potter's world at Universal, assuming it ever actually opens. It did. Any tips on when the best day would be? Should we try to see both Universal parks or see Harry Potter and skedaddle back to Walt Disney World? My husband and I will be traveling with our 6-year-old son, so the really crazy roller coasters aren't a draw, though he'd ride them if he was tall enough. Should we make our dinner plans back at Disney or go to City Walk? Any tips would be appreciated. Well, going there, the crowds have definitely subsided considerably since Harry Potter first opened there. I would suggest going on a weekday. I would suggest going there as soon as the park opens. If you can, Jennifer, book one night at Universal just so that you can get the advantages. Universal Resort guests have the ability to go to the resort. They get the front of the line access and everything like that, so they get priority. So for that, especially for the lines at Harry Potter that I'm sure you're aware of, it's worth it. So that'd be my advice to you.
You get front of the line in the dining and the restaurants as well. If you show your room key, you get to jump ahead and go in a special door. So it'll definitely help you at City Walk as well.
Very good. What are your thoughts on City Walk, Annette?
I really like it down there. It's different. It's not Disney. I mean, that's the one thing.
To say the least.
Definitely not Disney, but a lot of fun can be had there. A lot of different restaurants. And really, I think if you're going to go over and do Universal for a day, maybe consider staying over there on property. Royal Pacific. I actually love the Hard Rock 5-minute walk into the parks.
Say hi
just
to
for
Mike
one
Moore.
night as a splurge. And, you get that room key and you've got 2 days of front of the line access. You can wave at everybody as you're going for the 12th time onto the ride. Not on Harry Potter, but the other rides.
Next email is from Becky Kale of Cincinnati, Ohio. The family and I are heading to the world soon. Hope you get to this. Nope. Just wondering how the sum of all thrills affects touring plans for Epcot, especially as it doesn't have Fast Pass, or at least didn't have it when I was there in November. Should you go there first? Especially worried as I've never been there on such a busy time of the year, like perhaps Easter. Love the show, even if it doesn't get read until after we get back.
I'm glad you put that in there.
Becky, Sum of All Thrills really doesn't develop that long line. My best advice is to see it as early in the day as you can, ideally before lunchtime. But I've gone there many different times of the day, late evening, early morning, mid-afternoon, the line is rarely more than, I would say, 20 minutes or so. It's always manageable. Again, if you get in the morning, great. It might be great to do like you do if you get there for park opening. You do like Soarin', you do Test Track, and then maybe you do Mission Space, something like that. And as you know, after you get those 3 attractions done, really, Future World really drops out in terms of the attractions that have a lot of wait time. So I would definitely try to sneak that in right there. I know that Innovations opens a little bit later, but that might be the best opportunity for you to go try that out right then and there. Next emails from Drake from Indianapolis, Indiana. Love the show. I'll be traveling to the world soon. My family and I have reservations at Animal Kingdom Rainforest Cafe on a Sunday at 6:30. This is 30 minutes past Animal Kingdom's park closing, and I thought it'd be about the perfect amount of time to look around in the restaurant and experience all it has. That same Sunday night, we'll be eating at the Rainforest Cafe. The Magic Kingdom offers extra magic hours until 2 a.m. While we appreciate the advice the unofficial guide provides, those 3 extra hours are too tempting to avoid. I feel we might be presented with a somewhat minor problem, though. Animal Kingdom closes at 6. How will my family travel from there to the Magic Kingdom? We'll probably be done with dinner around 8, and I feel that all of the Disney transportation to and from buses will have ended for the night. Will it be obvious to us if that's the case upon exiting the restaurant? I haven't visited the world since '98. My family's last visit occurred at an even earlier time. Will we be waiting for a bus stop all night looking like fools? Will it be simple to secure a cab if necessary? What are your thoughts? I don't think it'd be a problem. I mean, if they're taking reservations that late, they're going to have buses for you. They have to. It may not be a bus waiting for you when you get out, but you may have to wait like 10 or 20 minutes. But if they've got guests over there, Disney's very cognizant of that, and they're going to be sending their buses over there. That would not be a concern for me. You may be limited. I've been in situations where there's been like, for example, last tour to Endor, which was at the studios a couple weeks ago, and that ended about 4 or 5 hours after the studios actually closed for the day. They still had buses running, but they were condensed. Like, I wanted to go to the Magic Kingdom, but all they had was really one bus that went to TTC. So if you wanted to go to Epcot, or you wanted to go to the Magic Kingdom, or the Polynesian, you had to go to the TTC. So that may be the situation you're presented with, but it's still better than, obviously, no bus at all.
Well, and most of the time when they have that situation, you're going to see a couple of taxis out there hanging out for the opportunity to take you as well.
Oh, good point. Yeah. I don't think you'll ever be. I mean, worst case scenario is you can always flag down security over there and you can talk to them. I wouldn't worry about that at all.
They're not going to leave you hanging.
Exactly. Or your money. Next email is from Kathleen from New York, who writes, "Hello, fabulous and wonderful WDW Today-ers. I've been listening to the podcast for a year plus now, and I've been loving every minute of it. It's a great escape from the academics and serves as company when I'm cleaning the room. I'm planning a trip for March, but don't worry if it's late because my email doesn't have to do with my trip. So, Matt, you don't have to fake the date. We missed it. I'm writing to you because I have to let you know that this podcast is a gateway. Yes, it's a gateway drug for any Disney addict. I started out listening to your podcast, and now I carry on the unofficial guide, listen to Mouse World Radio on my BlackBerry, use the Lines app, belong to the Disboards, and check Mouse Savers and TouringPlans.com religiously. I blame you guys. I didn't fully notice my addiction and how you were the enablers until I was reading the 2010 unofficial guide. All of the sites and additional resources that were suggested were all frequent haunts of mine. Your podcast is a great way to start out a Disney passion. As for my question, you're welcome, by the way. What was your Disney gateway? What caused you to move from Disney fan to fanatic? Much love, and it's a grill and a cooler?
Stacy.
So what did it do for you, Newell? How did you go from fan to fanatic?
I think I jumped right into fanatic. I don't think there was a crossover. I think I just leaped right into fanatic. I mean, jumping right into the bushes, that kind of makes you a fanatic.
Oh, wow.
I think for me, the unofficial guide was my gateway drug. I was trying to plan a trip, just like anywhere else, go to Washington, D.C., you look up what to do there, right? Mm-hmm. And for me, I picked up a copy of the unofficial guide and was like, okay, well, this looks pretty good. It's pretty comprehensive. And, that kind of like, if this was like a cartoon movie, all of a sudden the background would turn like crazy tie-dye colors and like it would start zooming really fast and my eyes would get really wide and the pages would flip really fast because it was that kind of experience for me. It was just like, it opened my mind to a totally different way of looking at the parks and really just that kind of that Walt Disney World, there's so much here, and you can not only can you do a lot of it, but there's so much to see and do, and that really kind of did it for me. What about you, Scopa?
Boy, I don't know where to begin.
Well, give us the 30-second version. Basically, how you went from everyday fan to totally knee deep in Disney World.
Well, I grew up with Disney. I was a big Disney television fan and everything. And I remember doing a report on the 1964 World's Fair when I was in school. And, I was really interested in everything that was going on. And then I remember reading a Time magazine article on the opening of Walt Disney World. I said, gee, someday I'm gonna have to go there. And then when I finally went in 75 or whatever, I was really, really taken by the by the culture, by the environment, by the efficiency, by how they did everything so right. I think basically it comes down to the contrast. I was comparing my experience in Walt Disney World, at that time it was just the Magic Kingdom, with everything else that I had experienced in life, and it just stood out. The quality of the service, the quality of everything just stood out. And I said, I think I like this, and I think that's when it all started, and then the rest is history.
Great. Yeah, we should do a topic about this, Scopa. But Annette, what about you? What's the quick and dirty way you got into Disney World internet stuff?
Well, I went as a child. We went like every other year. My family, quick drive down. And I always kind of thought like, as a teenager, you think you can do it better than your parents could, But, we always did. We did things on the cheaper way sometimes. Sometimes I kind of questioned like camping in a pop-up tent. But as I started having kids, I wanted them to go and have the experience, and I wanted to make sure everything went smooth, because the last thing you want as a parent is to go down to Disney and not know what you're doing. And all of a sudden you've got kids that can't ride things, or you mean we had to make reservations for Cindy to eat with Cinderella and stuff. So that's kind of what started for me. You wanted to find everything out, and then that kind of grew into what I'm doing now, because I was a definite planner before I started doing this.
Interesting.
And that must have said 25 in that last statement.
Well, I'm sorry,
Kiss her grits, Mike.
Wow. Yeah, I totally deserve that.
Kiss my grit.
Next email is from Stuart from Manchester, United Kingdom. Ooh, say hi to Andy for us. We're a family of 3 with an 11-year-old daughter from Manchester, United Kingdom, and we've been going to Disney World for at least 6 years. We've used the Disney dining plan for the last 2 years and love it. Here's my question to all of you. If you had to pick your top 3 sit-down restaurants in Disney World, what would they be? Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. P.S. Just on Amazon now, buying the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World 2010 for our next trip in July.
And the 2011 just came out.
Let's just say this email's been here for a while. Top 3 sit-down restaurants. I'll let you guys think about it. I was kind of mulling this over for a bit. Tepanito, Turf Club, and Citrico. No, Chico.
Wow, that's tough.
It's not going to be held to this, just
I think Cuisine is going to be in the top 3 now.
Really?
Cuisine is one. Tusker House.
Ooh, another good one.
And, oh boy, Yak and Yeti.
Wow. Boy, if I was betting on Scopa's restaurants, I would have lost all my money. Newell, what about you? You mentioned something. I'm sorry I cut you off before.
And going in number order, well, backwards. Number 3, I'm gonna say Ohana. Number 2, I'm going to say Le Cellier, and number 1, Chico.
Wow. Okay. And Annette?
Mine's going to be a little different from you guys, just a little, but
Rainforest, T-Rex,
Chick-fil-A.
No. But I'm Chick-fil-A.
Waffle
Peaches
House.
and cream.
Bakery. No, I actually love to go to Kona. That's different food. I like Kona.
Yeah, Kona's good.
Chico, and Tepanito.
Okay, that's 2 to 3 we all picked, so it's not that different.
I know, but Kona,
No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good. They, says something there. Next email is from Bernie from Columbia, Maryland. I was listening to your latest podcast this morning on my way to work, episode 671.
That's 100 episodes ago.
Yeah, you can time this here. Figure this out.
Man.
There was a debate about the boat between the Magic Kingdom and Wilderness Lodge. You get the boat to the Wilderness Lodge on the left side of the dock as you face the Polynesian. The one on the right is for Fort Wilderness. The boats go to their respective resorts, for example, Wilderness Lodge, and then back to the Magic Kingdom. So the boat from the Magic Kingdom does not go to the Wilderness Lodge and then Fort Wilderness or vice versa. However, there is a separate boat that
Right.
runs between Fort Wilderness, the Wilderness Lodge, and the Contemporary. It does not go to the Magic Kingdom, however. Great. Keep up the great work.
Wasn't there a smaller boat? Not the bigger ones, but the smaller ones.
The launch.
That used to go, I don't know if it still does, but it did at one time to Fort Wilderness. And then I remember going to Fort Wilderness and stopping at the Wilderness Lodge on the way back from the Magic Kingdom on a boat. But I don't think it was the big, like, the big yellow ones, the old friendship
Right.
boats. It was a smaller.
Next email is from Doug in
We
South
need Captain-
Carolina. I have a
Captain-
question.
Captain
If
Mike's
two
gotta
parties
answer
are
that.
traveling together to Walt Disney World, but one party is staying on property and the other is off property, would it be against the ethics of Disney vacationing for the off-property party to use the on-property's parking pass if they're not going to use it?
Say it again.
All right, two groups are coming to Disney World, right? Two families.
Uh-huh.
Family A is on property. Family B is off property. Family A that's staying on property gets a parking pass, but they're not using it. So can party two who's staying off property, can they use their parking pass so they can, obviously save on the parking prices?
If you like stealing, you can use it, yeah.
But they're getting I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not saying you're right or wrong, Mike. Party A who's staying on property gets it. It's part of their thing. They're entitled to it. In Disney's eyes, one person's getting it, but they're not using it. It's not like they're asking for two parking passes. They're only using one.
Still. To me,
Okay.
that's
What about you, Scopa? What do you think?
As long as they don't give them their refillable mugs to use them.
That's that's what I'm saying. We just did a whole show about that, and this kind of goes back to the scruples thing. Can you get away with it? Sure. Is it right? Technically, no. They're going to tell you no. Like if you call Disney and ask them that, they're going to say no. You can't do that. Can you get away with doing it? Yeah. No one's gonna check it out. But morally,
You're right. I mean, look,
it's
yeah.
not right.
In the black and white, is this right or wrong? It's wrong because obviously, like you just said, if you ask Disney, they're going to tell you no, you can't do that.
Right.
I don't have a problem with it. I would have a problem with it if the people asked for a second parking pass, which you can do, and then gave it to their. That I think is crossing the line there because that's just that's crossing the line. But
Unless they were staying with, if they were staying with them, then it's totally cool.
right. Okay. Very good. Next email's from Matt from New York, New York. Writes, after years of peering into the shadows of Spaceship Earth, I became used to looking for the bucket on a rope on the right side at the very end of the Sistine Chapel scene. Do you guys remember? Do you guys know what he's talking about?
It's on the right side as you're going up the incline.
Now, after the update to Spaceship Earth, the installation of the computer mainframe scene has somehow done away with the bucket on a rope. What happened to this? Was I making the whole thing up? The bucket on a rope, whereby the artist could receive supplies, was a really subtle detail that made the attraction that much deeper. I try to console myself by reasoning that some historian showed up during the renovation and pointed out the bucket on a rope never existed, and so it was removed. Do you remember the bucket on a rope?
Yeah, I remember it.
So you'd pass as your vehicles. Help me out, Mike. You're passing the vehicles passing underneath Da Vinci and or Scopa, depending
Right.
on your joke. And you.
So Scopa, was there really a bucket?
I've been sworn to secrecy.
So where would the bucket be? Kind of hanging over your head, basically.
No, I believe it was on the right side as you're going right under him. So if you look
Okay.
to the right side,
So everybody would be looking to the left, but it was on the right?
well, you're really looking up. You're looking at him.
You're looking up, though,
painting,
yeah.
Right. So it was right. I believe it was on the right side, and it was a rope with a series of knots in the rope, and in the wheel was a series of notches where the knots would fit. And I guess that's before pulleys. I guess they used that system as a way of moving the rope up and down, so the bucket would travel up and down.
Okay, given Newell's distinct details, I'm going to go with yes, it probably did exist.
Yeah, definitely. He's gotten stuck there before, something to know all that.
Next email is from Phil DeLucia, White
Phil.
Plains, New York.
Congratulations! Oh no, not yet.
Yeah. I just listened to today's podcast. I figure I'd share this story. This is not the podcast you're thinking of. I figured I'd share this story with you regarding Disney transportation during the mornings of the marathon. While on the Magical Express bus on the way to the airport in January 2009, my wife Evelyn and I had a discussion with our bus driver. She asked us if we had participated in the marathon, and of course my wife Evelyn had run the full marathon that past Sunday. Our driver told us about how she was almost late to the airport with a group of people from the Grand Floridian Resort that Sunday morning. She said Disney security had all the buses and official vehicles using side roads around the Magic Kingdom that morning. At one point, while trying to leave the resort, security closed all the roads for the runners and would not let any vehicles through, including her bus. She said she barely made it out to the airport on time, and security didn't want to hear anything about it. How was that for teamwork? Could you imagine spending that kind of money to stay at a flagship resort and almost being late to your flight out? Yeah, boy, they don't mess around with those road closures during the marathon or other races. I mean, you've really got to be on top of things.
I don't regard security as just security. To me, since technically Disney World property is a sort of municipality, I always respected security as like the local police, with the next higher up being, the Orange County Sheriff. So technically, there's not really teamwork because the police are higher up. So
I see what you're saying.
If they have a job to do, they're going to do that job. And if that means a bus is going to be late, they're not concerned in that. They're concerned in protecting the runners. So they're going to close that road.
Yeah, if you're going up for, if you're planning on using a bus and you're going either flying in or flying out on a day where there's going to be a race at Walt Disney World, be sure to check with the times of the races and things like that so you can avoid these kinds of pitfalls.
Because you could be stuck in a roadblock for a long time.
Oh, yeah. Next email is from Kathleen Gillespie, Lexington, Massachusetts. Just listened to episode 673, The Grand Review, which was about the Grand Floridian. I agree with you that the Grand Floridian is usually just not worth the money, especially when compared to the other monorail resorts. But with certain discount deals, it may actually cost less to stay at the Grand Floridian than at the Polynesian or the Contemporary. What then? For example, when Disney is offering one of its best resort room discount deals, such as 45% off deluxe rooms or the buy 4 get 3 free deal, the available rooms at the Poly, which are tied to the discount deal, seem to go very fast. The lower price rooms at the Contemporary also seem to either go fast or not be included in the deal in the first place. When that happens, a person may find, when it comes to monorail resorts, the cheapest room available is actually the Grand Floridian. Okay, having said all that, I have to admit that if it were in my situation myself, and in fact, it was just recently in this situation, I would say to my travel agent, so how about the Beach or Yacht Club? Which is now how my husband and son became so hooked on the Yacht Club for our vacation in whatever, rather than at the Grand Floridian. I would have preferred the Beach Club, but no discount rooms were available there. Still, I just wanted to make the point that sometimes the Grand Floridian is not the most expensive room on property resort option.
No, that's very true because it does depend on the load factors in each of the resorts as to which resorts have the discounts and which ones don't. So if you happen to be going during a time where the Poly was pretty full and the Contemporary was full, you are going to see better rates at the Grand Floridian.
Yeah, well, that's like saying, well, the best options were gone, but this is the best option that they have left. So it makes it a really good option. You know what I mean? She didn't say that it was the best option because of the discount. It was the best option because some of the better discounts were picked over already. But
right,
I see your point. It's still a deal in some regard, but still think it's overpriced. All right, last time for our last question of the day, and that means I'm going to give Mr. Newell 3 emails to choose from. One gets read today. The other 2 go back into the email queue to be answered later. Are you ready, Mike?
Yes, sir.
First option is Matt, look out, I'm catching you. Second option, Trouble in Paradise, a.k.a. Scopa in a coconut bra and grass skirt.
Ooh.
Or I love a parade.
Oh, my goodness. Mike, I apologize. I don't know where this is going to go, but...
Last email of the day is from Alyssa of Appleton, Wisconsin. Notice how easy my city is to pronounce. It is indeed. Thank you, Alyssa. Hello to my favorite podcast people. We will be heading to Walt Disney World in late July 2011, and we'll be staying at the Polynesian. It's me, my husband, and our 2 sons, who will be 9 and 6. We've never stayed at the Polynesian before, and the amount of information out there about the resort is pretty overwhelming. We've listened to your previous episodes about it, and we've checked out every square inch of the Tiki Man's website already. If you could give us your top 10 tips about staying at the Poly, we'd really appreciate it. Well, what should we know? What building we should request? What are the ways we can get the most out of this amazing-looking resort?
Wow, is Len.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, Annette, what are your tips for the Polynesian Resort? Are there any buildings that you like or something like that? You're on mute, Annette.
I've been there a couple of times. I would stay at Taratonga. I would stay at the any longhouse that is closest to the Great Ceremonial House. So you're close to the monorail. You're close to the restaurants. You're close to the pool and everything. So I would stay there. If you're going to stay at concierge, then you're at the Hawaii Longhouse, which is the other which is near the water. But I personally like the I think it's Taratonga.
Right. I know which one you're talking about, Mike.
I forget. It's as you're looking at the Polynesian Resort. It's the one to the right.
Furthest to the right.
Yeah. So I like that. I like those longhouses that are connected, are like right next to the Great Ceremonial House.
Yeah, it's a great location. That was what I was going to say. To be close to the TTA, so you're and the monorail, so you've kind of got an easy access to wherever you want.
Especially the Magic Kingdom.
Yes. Oh, yes. So, but if you can afford it, the Hawaii building is just incredible
nice,
to be able to stay in there, and the views from the, especially if you're looking over the Magic Kingdom or have a water view. But even just to go to that lounge and be able to spend the night in that lounge and look over is great. Kids love that pool, the volcano pool. So, make sure you have a little bit of time for that, and don't forget that you can get, a Dole Whip.
They're
in the
Captain
food
Cooks.
court.
Yeah, I would say that of all the Disney resorts, I think, in my opinion, the Polynesian is the resort that requires you to spend the most amount of time at your resort, if you can.
Yes.
I mean, it has such great things. The restaurants, I think, you should eat at every single restaurant in that resort at least once.
Kona twice. Kona twice.
Kona twice on weekends. The other thing I would say, you have to watch Wishes from the Polynesian Beach at least once. So do that one night. If you're like, perfect night is when you're going to like Animal Kingdom or whatever. You're looking for something to do in the evening. Go back to the resort, sit on the beach. They pipe in the music over there, or you can just ask Newell to do it. And they'll play the music over there, and you can watch the fireworks. It's definitely something to take advantage of. So that's definitely my tips. I really love Captain Cook's. It's a great counter service. I love the noodles. The
the fried noodles?
are my
Yeah.
favorite dishes.
They are good.
Indeed. Very good. Well, that'll do it for us today. Don't forget that if you're planning your next trip to Walt Disney World and you're thinking, there's lots of deals out there, but I don't know which one is the best for me. Why not have the travel agents at MEI and Mouse Fan Travel pick it up for you? After all, they are authorized Disney vacation planners, and they're going to get you the best deal out there. There's no cost to you. It's not like you're paying extra to use them. They're free. All you're paying is whatever you're paying to, say, at Walt Disney World, but they're going to do all that heavy work for you. So they're going to be able to pick through all those packages and figure out the best deal for you. Try them out online at www.mousefantravel.com. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, you can visit the WDW website at wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Sopa, and Mike Newell, and the fabulous Annette Owens, I'm Matt Hotchberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.